Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Go on then. Yeah, we're gonna document another one of the sessions that you've done with the guys who we've been coaching in London. So yeah, you did another session with one of them yesterday. So how was it?
Yeah. So yesterday was with the other guy, so guy number 2, and obviously the day before I was working with guy number 1. So it was great again to just work one-on-one with someone, work on just the small things that just needed fixing to actually help them get even better results. To be honest as well, I was very confident with guy number 2 because there was, I'd say, probably just fewer things that just needed fixing for him to be certainly really, really happy with where he's at. Just going over, in fact, I've moved my notes over again to my my computer. So there's only really 4 things I wanted to focus on, and with him, it was really just sort of like the start and the end of his interactions. So it was just making sure that when he was stopping the girls, he was getting in front just that little bit more. Because in the approaches in sort of most of the other days, it was kind of like a 50-50. Sometimes he was getting fully in front, sometimes it was kind of on the side, and sometimes it was a bit too far away from the side. So, you know, the girls really, really weren't stopping. So there was just a little bit of that just to work on. Same with guy number 1. I wanted to work on just the momentum when he would be thinking about doing the approach. So rather than just grounding and staying on the spot to think about, like, oh, I want to speak to her or not. It was a case of making sure, like, okay, well, at least as long as we're moving towards the goal, then decide if you want to do it or not. You know, contemplate, like, is she your type? What about her do you notice that you'd like to compliment on her or speak to her about? So there was that we worked on. Just the conviction as well with stopping. So, you know, again, this is like 3 things for just the beginning. So it's just making sure that if you're going to stop, make sure you've got that authority to stop. You're not going over too soft, like as if you're worried about interrupting her day. And then the last one was just making sure that you're actually asking for the phone number as well. Because on some of the previous days, there were, I think, just missed opportunities simply because he didn't ask for the phone number. So I know he's very keen to hear the statistics, although I think we did cover it, but his friend is absolutely interested in hearing the statistics to compare himself to him. So in total, guy number 2 did 22 approaches and he got 3 phone numbers. And those were also the girls that he actually asked the phone numbers for. So he got 100% conversion on every girl that he asked a number for. He got the number. And his average was essentially roughly about every 1 in 7 girls that he approached, he got the number, which is still very, very good. And we just plowed through the session. I mean, it was 3 hours again. And unlike all of the sessions that we'd had so far, we didn't have a break. So we literally just went like through it, and we walked everywhere almost in London. So we started in Covent Garden. We started in Tottenham Court Road. Then we went towards Covent Garden. Went then towards the Strand, a bit of Trafalgar Square. Went down to Embankment. Went down then to South Bank. All the way across South Bank to London Bridge. So going through Borough Market, then across towards Monument and Bank as well, and then all the way up to Liverpool Street, and that took like the full 3 hours. You know, so we didn't stop. We just literally we went through everywhere, which I think was a really good experience for him as well. Because I think on one of the days that we went out, we had a bit of a lunch break when it was the 3 of us out, and the guys had kind of pointed out that they felt their energy sort of dip a bit because they'd broken that momentum. Whereas at least this time round, because we didn't stop, and with it being one-on-one, so, you know, more of the focus and attention was encouraging him to do even more approaches. I think he found it was a lot more mentally exhausting to do that. So when it got to the last, I think maybe last like 20, 15 minutes of the session, as we were nearing Liverpool Street, I think the fatigue was starting to kick in. So where there was me like being really energetic, going like, oh, right, go and talk to that girl over there. Let's, I'll walk with you and stuff. There was a lot more of a, yeah, can we just sort of go at a slower pace? And, and if I see someone who's not going quickly, then sure, I'll go for them. So it was a good, absolutely, it was a fantastic session. And I think it was really good just to experience like what happens if you do try to go back to back with approaches, you don't have a break. Because then it just gives you this understanding of like, right, well, how can I manage my energy when I am out? Do I need to be having regular breaks, or can I go for so long? On a side note, we kind of even spoke about like footwear, which I don't think guys consider. If you are going to go out and approach for all day long, don't wear like super smart shoes. Do wear something very comfortable, because you're going to get really sore feet afterwards, which sounds silly, but when you're approaching women and then you're starting to get like aches at the back of your feet, or you're starting to limp around because, by not wearing the right footwear, you felt that like ripple effect of pain going up your legs. It's certainly, I think, just food for thought. Like, dress smartly, but just consider wearing something casual footwear wise, so you're not going to injure yourself when you're walking around. Another thing as well that he did mention, sort of throughout the session, because there were moments where it did feel very quiet as we were walking around, and even towards even at the end of the session when we were at Liverpool Street and we were standing outside the station, we'd also been there for like 10 minutes and there was nothing. There was a lot of traffic, but there was nothing, and it was kind of like an eye opener for him, because he was like, "I can't believe we're not seeing anything here." So I think what was quite fascinating was, although there were quiet moments and he felt that there wasn't the kind of traffic that guy number one, his best friend, had from the day before. The interesting reality, and it's not until I kind of like looked at it and compared it to the first guy, that he actually did still one more approach in total than what his friend did. So, guy number one did 21 approaches in 3 hours, and guy number two did 22 approaches in the 3 hours. So I think there's something to be said in this idea of like, with not to like be quoting Einstein, but with how like the theory of relativity is, of when you're approaching on your own, how time can feel very different to when you're with your friend and you're having more of a laugh and you can kind of joke around. Like, time certainly does seem to move quite differently. And when you've also got maybe a different kind of encouragement with approaching, how even that can potentially be a factor. But the reality is, even when you look at the stats, is that they actually approached roughly the exact same number of girls, even if there were moments that felt like, it was quiet. And he did approach certainly a couple of groups as well. So I think it was mostly twos. I don't recall like him approaching like a group of 3 girls or more, but I think it was still fantastic. He got to experience talking to girls who were sitting down or not moving. Which I think I put a photo in the group anyway of that. So that was great on South Bank. But the girls that he spoke to and that he got numbers from, very, very pretty, very attractive women as well. So every time he was coming back, he was like, how did you spot that? Even if I was like, right, we're going to run into the distance, we've got to go and catch up with that girl over there. But other than that, we ticked all the boxes. He certainly got in front of the girls more. The conviction with stopping kind of kept coming and going. So it was just sort of reminding him, just remember that concept that I told you of, imagine she's dropped her wallet or her purse or keys, and you've got to get him back to her. Like, it's like a life or death situation. You need to run back to her and give it. What kind of authority would you have to stop her, to make sure she's heard you and you've got her attention? And then, so that would come back, and then he'd be absolutely fine. And then with asking for the number, in a way, I'm kind of glad that he didn't just ask every girl for the number. Like, he asked the ones that he was attracted to. To be fair, also the girls that I was attracted to, that I sent him to, and then he got the number with that. But so it was really good that he kind of picked his battles with who he wanted to approach. And I think that was also just something important for him to learn. And I think even for any guy to learn, like, yes, absolutely, it's great just to practice getting comfortable asking for numbers. But also, you know, pick who you want to ask the phone number for. Just even embrace the idea that when you speak to someone, it's just a really good conversation, or it was just a beautiful moment. And once that passes, that's it. And just enjoy it. And just remember that for every approach that you're doing, you are building yourself up, or you're building your confidence to being ready to speak to that girl that you are attracted to, and just making sure that you are going for the opportunities that you want to. So yeah, but I mean, overall, he definitely approached a lot higher quality women. But I think I think where the idea came into play of him feeling like that he hadn't approached that many women, especially if they were quiet moments, was simply because he was comparing himself to the Saturday, where he did approach 30 girls on that day. So of course that was like his personal best. But to still approach like 22 women in 3 hours, and they were just much higher quality women. I mean, they were all very attractive, and there was like one girl that he spoke to who was an air hostess, I think. You know, amazing conversation. But he's a very good conversationist anyway. So I mean, it was just great that I didn't have to give like any feedback with that. As soon as he gets into his flow, he's so present and so confident with his conversation skills. I mean, he can talk about anything, like the way in how he was speaking to some women about with their tattoos and stuff. In fact, he spoke to quite a few women with tattoos, so I think he's got a thing for tattoos. But yeah, he did really, really well with that. So there was nothing I could fault with his conversation skills. But other than that, I mean, he did a really, really good job. It was only really like the beginning and end stuff of the interactions that I wanted to work on, and he did that. And he definitely spoke to much higher quality women. So yeah, so no, overall, really, really happy with the session. Again, it was just interesting to see those roller coasters of emotions playing out. But when you look at the stats, it was actually really not so bad at all. He had a great session and spoke to just as many women as he did with his best friend.
Yeah, I mean, that's still more than any other guy's going to do in their entire lifetime as well. You know, 22 is great. And if you got 100% number close, do you think that he had conversations where he could have gone for more phone numbers if he's been honest with himself, or do you think the ones that he got were the ones that he wanted?
I would say the latter. I think, you know, he got the numbers from the ones that he wanted. I don't really think with any of the other women. I mean, he absolutely could have like asked for the number. You know, there's not to say like for every single one of those 22 women he could have gone for it. But I mean, some of the interactions were very short anyway, or the girls were busy, or he just didn't feel the vibe and stuff. Although that does remind me, there was one girl that I think he did get the number from, and he came back and he was like, I don't know if I'm like feeling the vibe with that. Absolutely stunning. She was definitely like his type. And when we were looking at the pictures and stuff, we were like, yeah, you know, she's very, very nice, and she was keen for a date. But I did say to him as well, like, you got to bear in mind, like, some women, when they're out, they're not thinking that someone's going to come and talk to them. So they're in like their own world, they're in their own reality, they're thinking about what jobs and stuff. So when someone kind of comes to speak to them and they have a good conversation, their mind's not like 100% there, in the sense of they're thinking like, oh my god, right, let's have a date, like, you know, all of this. They're probably a bit just out of it. Is the only way I can kind of explain it, you know. So you have to kind of give someone the opportunity to walk away, think about what's just happened, let them digest it, and then think like, wow, actually, I really enjoyed that. And then when they receive the message from him, and then you can get the ball rolling to start moving towards a date. Of course, that's going to be then a very different kind of conversation, because once you're on the date and you can then be flirting with each other and stuff, yeah, very, very, very different opportunity for, well, you can create a different vibe from that anyway. So yeah, he could have asked for more numbers, but I mean, I'm glad the ones that he asked were with very attractive women, and they were ones that he really liked. That he was like, yeah, I want to try and get them out on a date. Um, I also didn't realize that he'd actually taken one of the girls out from the other day out on a date as well, which was, so it was good just to kind of hear how that went with him. Which it didn't sound like it was going to go anywhere, but I'm glad that he, out of all of the approaches that we did, he has already gone on a date with someone, and by the sounds of it, very quickly. It was almost like next day, which was brilliant. Um, so yeah.
That's really good, mate. I think if he's been at this for like 3, 4, 5 days, like about 10 hours realistically in total, if he's already
Yeah.
getting himself dates, then yeah, that's next level. If he's got 100% close rate and he's being able to convert the numbers into actual dates, yeah, that's solid. That really is solid. You should be immensely proud of that. Again, it's like when they first got in contact with us, it's like, hey, we've been walking around for 5 hours, we can't talk to anybody, and now he's doing like 22 in a day, 100% number close, and he's already converting the numbers into dates. So I think that's fantastic. I know that
Yeah.
he's got a finite amount of time left in the UK. What would be the thing, or maybe the things that you would like him to work on going forwards, whilst he still has a little bit of time left in London? So I know the guys are planning on going out together. What do you think he needs to work on next?
I think the main thing is just trusting himself with everything that he's learned, and that he has the skill and the ability to take it as far as he wants. There were, I think, just a number of conversation, or a number of things that he'd said throughout the session that, there was a lot of there was the self-doubt there. There was the kind of like self-knocking, and then I would turn around and say like, no, you can do this. You can 100% do it. I believe you're ready for this, and just reminding him stuff like that. So I think like with instant dates, like I think there might have been one or two women that he could have gone on an instant date with. And I think the two statements that came out of it was like, well, one, I with the time that I've got, I'd rather be, going around and doing more approaching with you rather than going on an instant date. And then the other one was that he also said that I don't believe that I'm ready to be able to do that yet. And I was reminding him, like, you are ready, you can do this, and bear in mind, if you went on a date, I would be able to sit there and listen to you, and I can take notes and I can give you feedback on that as well. That's part of what else you're doing this for, so you can have that kind of dating life that you want. And if that includes then the ability to be able to not just stop someone and have a romantic situation play out, but then you can go on an instant date with them, you can filter them out. Because I can't remember if he said that he was looking for a relationship or not, or if he was just looking to have just a bit of fun. But to be able to actually screen women very quickly, so you're not even wasting your time like trying to text them and trying to arrange a date another time, and especially if he's a busy guy, then having that ability to do it, I think, is still a fantastic thing. I mean, I've known guys over the years who haven't even managed to get an instant date, and they've been like doing cold approaching for years. It's just something that's never really materialized for them. So, to think as well that they have that skill, they're just not taking that leap. And this is for both of them. So, not taking that leap to go for it. I think I would 100% recommend that they give it a go. When they're out together, or even definitely when they're on their own, to just even say, well, look, I've got 20 minutes free before I go and catch up with my friend again. Do you want to go and grab a coffee? I recommend guys like give it a try. Just experience what it's like to have a date where you are really enthusiastic about it happening. Like I know when we had the group date with the Ukrainians, I think it was probably only just one of the two of you who was interested in the girls, but you know, when you're able to support each other and wing each other, whether it be a group date thing or even just encouraging one of you to go for the date, connect with a girl, and they just have that one-on-one. Um, there is something that's very advanced about that that does put you ahead of a lot of other guys, and you know, and the time that you've both spent on the coaching, I genuinely believe there is no reason why you guys can't be able to do it. And then even if you went on a date, you had a great connection with the girl, why not then have a second date literally straight after the coffee date? Go to a bar or something. Improve your logistics by moving nearer to yours and going to, because they both live very central anyway, or at least I think one of them does. You know, improve the logistics of the situation, and there's no reason why you can't have something more naughty happen, you know, between you and the girls if you're dating them. And if you're looking for a relationship as well, you can certainly have that chance to scream faster. But I mean, if you're going to go out and definitely approach, I think it's just working on the things that I'd individually said to each of you about, you know, making sure that if you see someone, when you're making that decision to approach, be walking towards them, whether it's you're doing it together or on your own. Don't ground yourself. Don't stand there on the spot and think about, do I want to approach her or not? Don't let the opportunity walk away. I'd rather you go that 90% of the journey. And if you change your mind, you're like, actually, no, she's not for me. Maybe make sure that you've got a justifiable reason as to why you're not doing it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't be like, oh, actually, you know what, I don't think I like her. But if you haven't seen her face, go and walk around, go and have a look and be certain. Or if you decide like, oh, actually, no, she's not my body type, then okay, fine. But, you know, be certain whatever your decision is, but just make sure it's one that's fair and reasonable, that you're not going to walk away and then at like 10, 20 seconds later go, oh, actually, I should have done that. You know, and another thing, just consider the reps. You're where you're at now. You're still at the start of your journey. It doesn't really matter who you speak to. I don't care if you talk to like grandmas and stuff, but just being able to talk to people, giving compliments, having conversations, that's what's going to give you that fluid intelligence and develop how to be really comfortable having conversations with strangers on the street. And eventually, in time, you can be picky. You can go out for 2 hours and only speak to 4 women. But you know what? If those 4 women are your type, and you ask for the phone numbers and you get the phone numbers, then you're going to get 100% conversions. And that's what it's about. That then you get to a place, you don't need to be talking to everyone. You just talk to the people that you want. But right now, talk to everyone that you can. Get those reps in. Be open to having instant dates. Be open to just constantly pushing each other and supporting each other. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm pretty confident where they're at. I mean, I think they know exactly what they need to do. Definitely guy number one, as long as he remembers to slow down, just relaxing when he's talking to the women and not like bombarding them with questions, and listen to what they're saying. And guy number two, as long as he just has that conviction when he stops and asks for the phone number at the end, uh, I would say, I mean, I'm pretty proud of both of them. And they should be too. They've done a great job. So I do hope, yeah, they go out together, practice today, practice again tomorrow as well. I mean, I'm looking forward to certainly hearing their feedback in the group. So, guys, if you're watching, do it as a voice note. I want to actually hear it. I don't want to see it as a text. And if you can, maybe take a photo or two so I can see visually what the situation was that maybe played out with stuff. But don't stress too much about with photos. I don't want you accidentally getting the other one caught out with taking a photo. I get that guys aren't as discreet as I am when it comes to doing this sort of stuff. So yeah, but other than that, I trust you guys to do well on your own. I've got every bit of confidence that you'll do it amazingly well. And if there are things then that you get stuck on, write them down, and then that's something that I know I can help with again.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, no, I know it's been a really fruitful, enjoyable experience for everybody involved. I know they've taken you out for dinner a couple of times, and wined and dined you. So yeah, I think that's really
I mean, talk
cool.
about being schmoozed. My goodness, I feel like a high-end escort with when I've been treated. So no, but that was very kind of those guys as well to be treating me. You know, and I do feel very humbled to have worked with them. They are very, very down to earth guys, and you know, I hope we'll definitely end up having more sessions. Anyway, I know one guy's going to be going at the end of the week, so whether I end up working with the other one over the next couple of weeks in this month or not, I mean, either way, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with them, and I think if as long as they can keep that momentum that we've done, they will do fantastically well, and they'll probably get results even that I never thought they would possibly get either. You know, especially them in the position that they're in. So yeah, definitely good luck to the both of them.
Yeah, from where they started to where they're at now, it's been a remarkable transformation. I think that should really inspire anybody who's watching this. It's like not that long ago, these two guys, they were struggling to approach anybody, just walking around for 5 hours, and they had each other as well, and they still were struggling to pull the trigger. So I think it just shows what's possible when you take the right action, you surround yourself with the right people, you drop your ego, you say, you know what, I really do suck at this right now, but I don't want to suck forever. So they got in contact with us, and now life is very different. So yeah, if anybody's watching this, you want to undergo a similar experience, link below. You can apply to work with us. And yeah, just big shout out to the guys because you're absolutely crushing it. And yeah, look forward to hearing more about how things went when they embarked on their odyssey to together today. So yeah, look forward to getting those updates in the group. Thank you very much for dedicating this time to us. And yeah, we'll do more of these live streams again in the future. Thank you very much.
Sounds good.